real determinant of how much improvement has been made is in our SSO account. So we've been keeping records since the beginning of January of 2003 on SSOs. And this chart represents, in green it shows the rainfall. And of course that varies quite a bit. Important thing to notice is we had a peak rainfall time in 2003, a similar one in 2009, and then one this past spring as well. So if you're looking at the overall trend of SSOs, the wet weather SSOs are the ones that are affected by rainfall. That causes infiltration to get into the lines and results in SSOs. The dry weather ones are more caused by blockages in the lines, and that could be roots or grease, debris, or even sometimes vandalism can cause SSOs in dry weather. So we stack those on top of each other to see what the total amount of SSOs are and compare that to the rainfall. So in general, you can see that the trend has been an improvement. But if you want to compare apples to apples, you really need to look at similar rainfall events. So in 2003, with rainfall near 70 inches, you can see what the level of SSOs were. A similar peak over here, and the SSOs are down at this level. Another similar peak, and the SSOs are here. We did have a little bit of an anomaly in 2011, even though the total rainfall was not that high. We had several back-to-back high intense rainfalls that caused those SSOs, the wet weather SSOs, to jump up. So as you can see, we've made substantial improvement in our SSOs over a period of 10 years. But even there, we're not where we want to be. There's still a lot of room for improvement on SSOs. Look at the end of a consent decree and what kind of success we would have. Even with all of this investment in the system, the wastewater division has continued to be financially sound. Had a large investment. As you've seen, we've increased our debt and our rates. But even through that, our credit ratings actually improved by a step, both in Standard & Poor's and in Moody's. And we've been able to maintain competitive rates when you compare us with other similar wastewater systems that are under a consent decree. It's a good time now as we're finishing up with a lot of these PACE 10 requirements to take a look at the lessons learned. PACE 10 has been a successful program, and we've used PACE 10 as a model for our Century 2 program. First lesson, I guess, is the sound plan results from an accurate assessment of our system conditions and performance. We found that to be true on the sewer system as well as our other utilities. The second is a consistent investment over time results in sustainable system improvement. And we've seen that with PACE 10 and that the SSOs are continuing to improve over time. The corollary to that is delaying necessary infrastructure funding requires an even higher level of investment later. And the whole theme of this is that stewardship of our utilities takes a long-range perspective over multiple decades. We're not just looking at it in an annual budget, we're not just looking at a 5-year plan, we're really looking at it for the long term. So in summary, KUB has met all of our EPA consent decree deadlines and requirements to date, and we're positioned to meet all of the upcoming requirements through the end of the consent decree in 2021. The whole theme has been system stewardship through a Century 2 plan, just like we've done for the other utilities. And the analysis shows that we can eliminate our outdated pipe types by 2040 by continuing our life cycle replacement at the pace we're at, which is 2% per year. This helps us demonstrate to the regulatory agencies that we have a long-term commitment to improvement in our system, and it reduces I&I and the SSOs to protect the environment, which is the goal of the consent decree, and it's also KUB's goal as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Can you go back to your rainfall SSO right there? I know we focused on wet SSOs, but looking for a second at dry, is that the, I don't mean to sway the sounds, is that the best that we can do? Are you going to have dry SSO, dry weather SSOs? It doesn't look like it's changing greatly overall that period of time, a little bit of improvement, but Is that improvement that we see there, is that the best we can do?
No, it's not. I mean, we have definitely been trying to attack the wet weather SSOs first, because that seemed to be the ones that were most capacity dependent. A lot of our trunk lines we've upgraded, and that helps with our wet weather overflows. The dry weather overflows are a little bit more difficult to attack because they're very unpredictable. At least with wet weather overflows, you can model rainfall events to be able to determine, okay, this pipe is undersized and needs to be replaced. The dry weather overflows, we need to look at our TV inspection and be aggressive about our root control and get through the entire system. We've not gone through our entire system yet with TV inspection. But as we do that, we'll be able to identify areas where we can say, okay, this area seems to be prone to root intrusion. We can either cut those roots or replace that pipe at some point to be able to reduce overflows.
Commissioner, another major reason for or contributor to dry weather overflows is grease. And you recall a few months ago we had a presentation by Debbie Ailey talking about our aggressive grease control program and working with food service facilities and things of that nature. So that's another area where more recently we've stepped up our efforts to try to control grease, prevent grease from entering the system, because it is a major contributor to our not just dry weather overflows, but it can also be a factor in wet weather overflows.
Are the TV inspections done by geographic area, or are they targeted based on where these dry SSOs are occurring?
They've been targeted so far. One of the requirements of the consent decree is stuff that we TV all of our lines within the first 12 years. And so that's one of the deadlines we're working towards, but we prioritize early the ones we're having the most SSOs.
Julie, can you go back to where you had where the storage tanks? Someone had a question. The map, what was the map? No, not the green one, the other one before that. Well, my question is going to be where, right there. Looks like you have the storage tanks right there where it's highly populated, and none over where Love's Creek and East Bridge. When that starts to be developed, do we think that that's going to be a problem, or do we think that the storage tanks will handle that if it starts to be developed?
Well, the development has been quite a bit slower out in that end of the county. And what we've attempted to do is we put in trunk lines to serve an area we allow for, a couple decades worth of growth. And so we plan the best we can. Occasionally there'll be large developments that spring up and multiple developments in one area, and that may require a trunk line to be upgraded maybe quicker than 50 years. But so far, we feel confident that we don't need any storage tanks out in that area. Storage tanks are mainly used in order to be able to handle very peak wet weather flows, be able to capture wastewater and hold it until such time as we can release it back into the collection system.
And Julie, what's the capacity at Love's Creek versus what our normal flow is?
Versus our normal flow, it's quite a bit less. We've got a lot of excess capacity at both Love's Creek and East Bridge.
When we improve the pipe, is that all contracted out, or do we do some of that ourselves?
That is contracted.
What's a big decision? You can't just run out lines of pipe this afternoon.
That's right. Any other questions?
In this being apparently a particularly wet year, have we had to utilize our storage tanks this year?
Yeah.
Good. Glad we're getting billing for that.
Commissioners, I recognize Leslie Hartzell for what we believe to be our last presentation on the Mines View Pipe project.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Commissioners, I'm coming before you with, we think, is some great news to share with you. I'm sure, that you've heard recently in the news that we are going to be able to finish this project ahead of schedule. I think when we came to you all, we told you around Thanksgiving was our time frame. And so I just want to give you a quick overview of some of the project highlights. As I stated before, we are going to be able to complete this project nearly 2 months ahead of schedule. A lot of that has just been with the hard work and collaboration of our KUB employees and our contractors. Our contractors have worked extended hours and extended days, and that was part of the public input process. When we started way back before we even started the project, you know, we held a lot of public meetings and tried to get the public input so that we could make sure that we were meeting their needs when we were going to be impacting them for such a long period of time. We were able, or I should say the contractors were able to complete an average of 3 weeks per zone versus initially in the what they thought was going to be 4 weeks per zone. And if you recall, this project was broken down into 7 zones. And so it allowed them to be about 7 weeks ahead of schedule by being able to do that. We had, over the course of time, you know, we had a dedicated hotline that was specifically customers could call in and get their questions answered about the Lionsview Pike project. And over the course, we implemented or activated this hotline back in January. And over the course of time, we received about 350 calls that were answered throughout that time period. One of the new things that we branched out and did was a blog page, which is something we had never done. And we're very proud to say we felt like we tried to keep our customers informed. We were updating this on a weekly basis, in addition to sending out advisories when it was necessary. But we had nearly 12,000 hits just on the blog page, alone for the Lionsview Pike project. So I think this is a tool that it was kind of trial and error for this project, but I think as we have more projects coming down the pipe, we'll be utilizing this as a way to keep our customers informed. Most importantly, City of Knoxville was out this week and have began resurfacing. They're actually started the paving today and planning on working throughout the weekend, and if all else, and all goes well and the weather cooperates with us. I hate to say this and jinx us, but it is looking like the roadway will be open possibly Monday of next week. Customers to travel. This is just a picture to show where they begin to work on Monday. Another part of the process, back in May, we had the opportunity to submit an application to the American Waterworks Association for the public information. It was an award. And so as you can see, there were several components that was included in that in order to be recognized or in order to be considered for this award. And some of the things that I mentioned that we did throughout this process, you know, we had the focus groups. We wanted to get the customers' input and feedback. We constantly tried to keep them informed by working with the media, sending out advisories, putting information up on our blog posts. We had the signage out there to try to let them know what was going on. But we also had a lot of dedicated internal staffing that was out there, what we call men on the ground. They were working with the customers, going door to door, making sure that we were keeping them informed, letting them know how they were going to be impacted, and working with them and trying to address any concerns or questions that they had throughout the process. And then it's just been a lot of hard work and collaboration with our contractors. There was weekly meetings with the contractors and our Lionsview Pike team just to make sure everybody knew what was going on, and so that we could accomplish the goal of meeting our deadlines, staying on track, and being able to make sure that we finish this project safely and in a timely manner. And I am proud to say that in July that we were notified that we were winners for our external communications effort for this. So I just want to pass along this award so you all can see it as well. And I just want to say that even though we won this award and we're happy, the award is great, but Our main focus in doing all this communication was not to win an award by any means. We're glad that we did. But it was also, our main point was to make sure that we kept our customers informed and we met their needs throughout this process. So, and as you can see, we were able to get a lot of positive feedback from our customers throughout this process. So we hope that our communications efforts worked throughout this process. And that's my short presentation.
Short but great presentation. Let me come up here. We got a letter today from the Cherokee Country Club. You probably haven't had a chance to see this, but extremely complimentary of KUB and the job that you all did. I have to say, and I'm sure like most people here, even some of you may used to use Lions View, but have a lot of people where I work that use it, and they griped considerably when they heard it was going to be closed, but they seem to have been able to get around, and a lot because of the communication, and so we're proud of what you did.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the support that we have received from you all.
Anything else?
That's all we have.
Is there anybody that signed up for speaking to the board? I'd like to recognize Commissioner Williams for his nominating committee.
Thank you. The committee, let me first of all thank the committee that was serving in this capacity. Commissioner Pace here, also Commissioner Celeste. It's not an easy task when you're doing this because with the people that you know, and we know we have some great folks that always come about to serve on this board that we have here. But we've done a great job at it, and we did it in a timely manner, and we will be submitting some names onto the mayor. When that, prior to that, we will be conducting interviews as well with the selectors that we had that was nominated. Minta, should I just, you want to say anything about it?
No, that's fine, that's great.
Yeah.
I think you've covered it. We do have public interviews on Monday, October 7th, and if necessary, again on Friday, October 11th. That is posted on the website and will be published in the paper, and obviously the public is invited.
And from that, it's not known to keep a secret. It will be public known and all. So we think we know it'd be hard task trying to replace Pace. Pace has served us well in so many capacity. Some's being greater than others, but we would probably have Pace. But Pace always bring good voice to the board as it relates to things that we stand for, what we've done, and we're going to miss Pace. And Pace was very adamant about having the right person to go into this position. Not saying that he said his shoes not too hard to fill, but he wanted someone that could really provide a service to his board that in the same capacity that he served. And we definitely hope that the mayor would make sure that happens. Pace, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. It says here that I'm supposed to remind everyone to plan to be here for at least 2 hours the next board meeting. I thought this was the long board meeting.
Well, actually, in October, we'll have a similar presentation on gas, but then we will follow it with the financial modeling, and where we will have a discussion about how you want to work on rates and debt and those sorts of things. So it will be a little longer than this meeting. Hopefully not 2 hours, but
So eat a
do our
big
best.
breakfast.
We're going to accommodate lunch during the
Oh, okay.
workshop.
All right. Any other business? Board? If not, we're adjourned, and I'll remind everybody that we have a lunch session across the hall. It's open to the public, and now the meeting is adjourned.